In our quiet town where everyone knows each other, I, Jake Matthews, run a small but beloved bakery called Jake's Delights. Every morning, I wake up before dawn to start baking, finding solace in the routine. But lately, the silence in my home with my wife, Laura, has become almost unbearable. Laura, once the lively center of our conversations, now loses herself in her job as an environmental scientist, working late nights and weekends. Our 10th anniversary is approaching, and I hope to reignite our connection with a surprise trip to a coastal resort reminiscent of our honeymoon. I meticulously plan every detail, clinging to the hope that this getaway might heal the growing rift between us. Each day, as I serve customers and manage the bakery, I discreetly book our stay at the resort, envisioning a joyful surprise for Laura. I picture her face lighting up with joy, just like it did when we were first married. But beneath my hopeful planning, a thread of anxiety tugs at me, whispering that things might be too frayed to mend. Back at the bakery, between kneading dough and chatting with regulars, I plan out every aspect of our trip, from the ocean view room to the candlelit dinners. I imagine telling Laura about the surprise, practicing the words I'll say, each line infused with my longing for a fresh start. Meanwhile, Laura spends her days immersed in environmental research, her commitment unwavering. At night, she returns home later and later, her brief smiles and tired eyes doing little to mask the distance that has grown between us. I watch her, seeing the strain of her days reflected in her hurried meals and quick exits each morning. As I lay out plans for our getaway, arranging for her favorite white roses and a bottle of the champagne we toasted with on our wedding night, my anticipation is tinged with uncertainty. The gap in our conversations, once filled with plans and laughter, now echoes with a quiet that's hard to break. Yet I cling to the hope that the familiar sands and sea air will wash away the growing barriers, bringing us back to a time when love was enough. The next day, as I mix batter and roll out dough, I can't shake the thought of Laura and our upcoming trip. I decide to leave the bakery a bit early to finalize the trip details. When I arrive home, I find Laura sitting on the couch, surrounded by her research papers. She looks up, surprised to see me. "Hey, Jake. You're home early," she says, offering a tired smile. "Yeah, I wanted to spend some time with you," I reply, trying to sound casual. We sit down to a simple dinner, and I mention the surprise trip I've planned for our anniversary. Her eyes widen in shock, then soften with appreciation. "Jake, that's so thoughtful of you. I could really use a break," she says, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. For a moment, I feel a flicker of hope. As we talk about the trip, I notice the weariness in her eyes. She's been pushing herself too hard, and it shows. I want to tell her how much I miss her, how much I miss us, but the words stick in my throat. The following day, Laura takes a rare day off, and we spend it together, running errands and enjoying a quiet lunch at our favorite cafe. It feels like old times, and I begin to believe that this trip might actually help us reconnect. But then, that evening, she gets a call from her colleague, David. They discuss a new project, and I see the light in her eyes as she talks about her work. It's a stark reminder of how much she's changed, how much we've both changed. As she chats animatedly with David, I try to push away the jealousy gnawing at me. Instead, I focus on the trip, hoping it will be the fresh start we need. When she hangs up, she turns to me with an apologetic smile.
"I'm sorry, Jake."
"I know I've been so focused on work lately. I promise I'll try to be more present." I nod, appreciating her effort, but feeling the weight of our distance. "It's okay, Laura. I just want us to be happy again." That night, as we lay in bed, I feel the space between us. The trip is just days away, and I cling to the hope that it will bring us back together. But deep down, a part of me fears that no amount of sand and sea air can mend what's been broken. The days pass in a blur of early mornings and long hours at the bakery. Finally, the day arrives when I decide to leave work early to finalize our trip details. I drive home, eager to tell Laura about the plans I've solidified. As I pull into the driveway, I notice the front door slightly ajar. It's unusual given Laura's typically cautious nature. A sense of unease settles in as I step inside, calling out for her. "Laura, I'm home." Silence greets me, broken only by the faint murmur of voices coming from the living room. I follow the sound, my heart pounding with an inexplicable dread. When I reach the doorway, I freeze. There, on our couch, are Laura and David, sitting too close for comfort. Their conversation stops abruptly as they notice me standing there. David stands up quickly, looking embarrassed. Jake, I didn't realize you'd be home so soon. Laura's face pales. Jake, it's not what it looks like, she starts, but her words feel hollow. I can barely process what's happening. I think you should go, I say to David, my voice tight with barely restrained anger. David nods and leaves quickly, the door closing softly behind him. Laura reaches out to me, tears welling up in her eyes. Jake, please let me explain. It's not what you think. I take a step back, shaking my head. What is it then, Laura? Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty clear. She starts to cry, her shoulders shaking with sobs. David and I have been working closely on a project. We've been spending a lot of time together, and I felt so alone, Jake. I never meant for it to go this far. The weight of her words crashes down on me. The plans for our anniversary trip, the hope I had been clinging to, now seem like a cruel joke. The room feels like it's spinning, and I struggle to find my footing. How long? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. A few weeks, she admits, her voice small and filled with regret. I know it doesn't excuse anything, but I felt so disconnected from you, from us. I can't look at her. The betrayal cuts deep, and all I can think about is how everything we built feels like it's crumbling around me. I need some time, I manage to say, turning away. I need to think. I walk out of the house, my mind racing. The evening air is cool, but I feel numb. The image of Laura and David is burned into my mind, and I can't shake the feeling that everything has changed. I find myself driving aimlessly, trying to make sense of the whirlwind of emotions. Anger, hurt, and confusion swirl inside me, and I know that no matter what happens next, things will never be the same again. The next morning, the house is suffused with a tense silence. The bright sunlight streaming through the windows contrasts sharply with the gloom that hangs over me and Laura. Sitting across from each other at the kitchen table, where we once shared laughter and dreams, the distance between us now feels insurmountable. I finally break the silence, my voice low and controlled. Laura, we need to talk about what happened. About David. She nods, her face pale and her usual vibrancy dimmed by guilt. I know, Jake. We do. Taking a deep breath, I ask the questions that have been burning inside me since I walked in on them. How long has this been going on? Why didn't you talk to me if you were feeling this way? Laura looks down at her hands, twisting her wedding ring around her finger. It started a few weeks ago. I was feeling so disconnected and lonely. David was there, and I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I listen, my heart heavy with a mix of anger and sadness. Why didn't you tell me, Laura? Why did I have to find out like this? Tears stream down her face as she speaks. I was afraid, Jake. Afraid that you wouldn't understand, or that it would push us even further apart. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I was wrong. The air between us is thick with words of sorrow and missed signals. Her admission of her emotional affair, those secret texts and meetings, adds layers to the betrayal. I struggle to process the revelations, my mind torn between my love for her and the pain she's caused. I can't pretend this didn't happen, I say, my voice trembling, but I need to know if you're willing to work through this, if you're willing to fight for us. Laura nods fervently. I am, Jake. I love you, and I want to fix this. I want to fix us. The conversation doesn't lead to a resolution, but lays bare the fractures in our marriage. While her tears and apologies express her desire to mend things, I'm left to ponder whether the foundation of our relationship is too cracked to repair. The plans for our anniversary trip, once a beacon of hope, now sit forgotten on the table, a stark reminder of what might have been. As the day stretches on, we go through the motions, avoiding each other's gaze and speaking only when necessary. The once cozy house now feels like a prison, trapping us in our shared misery. That evening, I find myself in our bedroom, packing a small bag. I need some time away, I tell Laura. Just a few days to clear my head and figure out what I want. She looks at me with pleading eyes. Please, Jake, don't give up on us. I'm not giving up, I reply, my voice heavy with exhaustion. I just need to think. I leave the house, the door closing behind me with a finality that echoes in my heart. As I drive away, the weight of our broken marriage presses down on me, and I wonder if time and distance can ever truly heal the wounds we've inflicted on each other. I drive aimlessly for hours, my thoughts a tangled mess of confusion and pain. Eventually, I find myself at a small motel on the outskirts of town. It's nothing fancy, but it offers the solitude I desperately need. I check in and collapse onto the bed, staring at the ceiling as memories of Laura and me flood my mind. The next morning, I wake early, my body aching from the restless night. I decide to take a walk to clear my head. The crisp morning air helps to ground me, and as I wander through the quiet streets, I reflect on everything that has happened. By the time I return to the motel, I have a semblance of clarity. I realize that despite the hurt, I still love Laura and want to fight for our marriage. I'm not ready to give up just yet. With this newfound resolve, I head back home, hoping that Laura is just as committed to rebuilding our relationship. When I walk through the door, Laura looks up from the kitchen table where she's been sitting, her eyes red from crying. Jake, she says softly, standing up, I didn't know if you'd come back. I nod, taking a deep breath. We need to talk, I say, my voice steady, about everything. If we're going to fix this, we need to be completely honest with each other. Laura nods, her expression determined. I agree. No more secrets. We spend the entire day talking, laying everything out on the table. Laura opens up about her feelings of loneliness and how she felt disconnected from me. I share my own struggles, admitting how I've let the bakery consume me, often at the expense of our relationship. It's a raw and painful conversation, but it's also cathartic. I felt like I was losing you, Laura says, her voice breaking, and I didn't know how to reach out. I'm so sorry, Jake. I reach out, taking her hand in mine. I'm sorry too, Laura. I should have been there for you. We both made mistakes, but we need to decide if we can move past them. We talk late into the night, discussing what we need to do to rebuild our trust and reconnect. We agree to see a marriage counselor, someone who can help us navigate this difficult path. It won't be easy, but for the first time in a long while, I feel a glimmer of hope. The next day, we call a counselor and schedule our first session. It's a small step, but it feels like a significant one. As the days go by, we make a conscious effort to spend more time together. We take walks, have long conversations, and slowly begin to rediscover the connection we once had. One evening, I surprise Laura with a candlelit dinner at home. It's a simple gesture, but it brings a smile to her face, and for a moment, I see a spark of the joy we used to share. Thank you, Jake, she says, her eyes shining. I know it's going to take time, but I believe we can get through this. I believe it too, I reply, feeling a warmth in my chest that had been absent for too long. As we sit together, enjoying the meal and each other's company, I realize that while the road ahead will be challenging, it's one we're willing to walk together. Our marriage might be fractured, but it's not beyond repair. With patience, honesty, and love, we can rebuild what was broken and create something even stronger. The following weeks are a mix of tentative steps forward and occasional setbacks. Laura and I attend our first counseling session, feeling a mix of apprehension and hope. The counselor, Dr. Roberts, is a calm and reassuring presence, guiding us through the difficult conversations we need to have. In one session, Dr. Roberts asks us to share what we love about each other. Laura speaks first, her voice trembling slightly. I love Jake's kindness and how he always goes out of his way to help others. I love his passion for baking and how his face lights up when he talks about his latest creation. I miss that connection we used to have. Her words touch me deeply, and when it's my turn, I look at Laura, feeling a surge of emotion. I love Laura's dedication and how she fights for what she believes in. I love her intelligence and her sense of humor. I miss her laughter and the way she always made our home feel warm and welcoming. These moments of vulnerability bring us closer, and over time, we start to rebuild our trust. We establish new routines, making sure to carve out time for each other amidst our busy schedules. We plan date nights, go for long walks, and spend quiet evenings at home, just talking. One weekend, we decide to visit the coastal resort we had initially planned for our anniversary. It feels like a symbolic gesture, a way to reclaim a place that had once been filled with hope and now serves as a reminder of our renewed commitment. As we walk along the beach, hand in hand, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore is soothing. We talk about our future, about the things we want to do together, and the dreams we still share. Remember when we used to talk about opening a bed and breakfast by the sea? Laura asks, a wistful smile on her face. I nod, feeling a warmth spread through me. Yeah, I remember. Maybe it's something we can still do someday. Maybe, she says, squeezing my hand. But for now, let's focus on us, on making our relationship stronger. We spend the weekend enjoying each other's company, exploring the small town, and indulging in the local cuisine. The peaceful environment and the time away from our daily lives allow us to reconnect on a deeper level. Back at home, we continue to work on our relationship. We face challenges and disagreements, but we approach them with a new perspective, guided by the principles we've learned in counseling. We practice active listening, empathy, and patience, striving to understand each other's needs and feelings. One evening, after a particularly tough day at the bakery, I come home to find Laura waiting with a home-cooked meal. It's a small gesture, but it fills me with gratitude. I know how hard you've been working, she says, her eyes filled with concern. I wanted to do something nice for you. Thank you, Laura, I say, pulling her into a hug. It means a lot. As we sit down to eat, I realize how far we've come. The road ahead is still long, but we're walking it together, side by side. Our marriage has faced significant trials, but the love we have for each other remains a strong foundation. We end the evening sitting on the porch, watching the stars. Laura rests her head on my shoulder, and I feel a sense of peace that has been absent for too long. I love you, Jake, she whispers. I love you too, Laura, I reply, feeling hopeful for the first time in a long while. We sit in comfortable silence, the future uncertain but promising, knowing that whatever comes, we'll face it together. As the weeks turn into months, Laura and I continue to navigate the complexities of rebuilding our relationship. Each counseling session with Dr. Roberts uncovers new layers of understanding and healing. We both commit to making changes, focusing on our communication and being present for each other. One afternoon, as we're cleaning up after lunch, Laura suggests something that surprises me. Jake, how about we take a cooking class together? It could be fun and a way to spend more quality time. I smile at the idea. I'd love that. Let's sign up for one this weekend. The cooking class becomes a regular activity for us. We laugh and learn together, rediscovering the joy of each other's company. It's a small step, but it brings us closer, reminding us of the partnership we once had. At the bakery, I notice a shift in myself too. I'm more patient, more attentive, and I make a conscious effort to leave work at a reasonable hour. I even start experimenting with new recipes, inspired by the classes Laura and I are taking. The customers love the new additions, and the bakery thrives. Laura, on her part, makes changes at her job as well. She talks to her supervisor about adjusting her schedule, ensuring she's not overworking herself. It's a tough conversation, but it pays off. She's able to strike a better balance between her passion for environmental science and her commitment to our relationship. One evening, as we sit on the porch with a glass of wine, Laura brings up something we haven't discussed in a while. Jake, have you thought about us having kids? I know we've been through a lot, but I've been thinking about it more lately. Her question catches me off guard, but in a good way. I nod slowly, considering her words. I have thought about it, and I think, maybe, we're in a better place now to start thinking seriously about it. We talk long into the night about our hopes and fears regarding starting a family. It's a deep, heartfelt conversation, and by the end of it, we both feel more aligned and hopeful about the future. The next day, we visit our family doctor to discuss our plans and get some advice. It feels like a significant step, and while it's still early days, the prospect of expanding our family brings a new sense of purpose and excitement. Our renewed focus on each other also leads to us planning a second honeymoon, something more than just a weekend getaway. We decide to go to Europe, a place we've always dreamed of visiting together. The trip is filled with adventure, romance, and lots of new memories. We explore Paris, Rome, and Barcelona, savoring every moment. Back home, we find that the bond we've been rebuilding is stronger than ever. The trust is returning, and while there are still moments of doubt and fear, we're better equipped to handle them together. One evening, as we sit down to dinner, Laura looks at me with a smile. I got an email today from a publisher who's interested in my research. They want me to write a book. That's amazing, Laura, I say, genuinely thrilled for her. You've worked so hard for this. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm excited, she says. And I want to make sure it doesn't take away from us. We've come so far, and I don't want to lose that. We won't, I assure her. We'll find a way to balance everything, just like we have been. As we toast to her success, I realize that this journey we're on is far from over. There will be more challenges, but I'm confident we can face them. Our marriage isn't just surviving, it's thriving, built on a foundation of love, trust, and mutual respect. That night, as we lie in bed, Laura turns to me. Jake, thank you for not giving up on us. I love you more than ever. I love you too, Laura, I reply, feeling a deep sense of contentment. And I always will. We fall asleep holding each other, ready for whatever the future holds, knowing that together we can overcome anything. The following months bring a sense of stability and joy that we haven't felt in years. Laura and I continue to attend our counseling sessions, now less frequently but still regularly, to ensure we stay on track. The exercises and tools we've learned from Dr. Roberts have become a part of our daily lives. Laura's book project takes off, and she spends her evenings working on her manuscript. I support her by giving her space and encouragement, and occasionally, I help her brainstorm ideas over a cup of tea. Her passion for her work is contagious, and I find myself more inspired in my own endeavors at the bakery. One Saturday morning, as we enjoy breakfast on the porch, Laura looks at me with a thoughtful expression. Jake, I've been thinking about our future, and there's something I want to talk to you about. Sure, what's on your mind? I ask, curious. I've been considering starting a community garden, she says. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I think it could be a great way for us to give back to the community and spend more time together. I smile, appreciating her enthusiasm. I think that's a wonderful idea, Laura. Let's do it. We start planning the community garden, talking to neighbors and local businesses for support. The project brings us even closer as we work side by side, turning a vacant lot into a vibrant green space filled with flowers, vegetables, and herbs. It becomes a sanctuary not just for us, but for everyone in the neighborhood. One evening, as we're planting the last of the tomatoes, Laura turns to me with a smile. I haven't felt this connected to you in a long time. Thank you for supporting my dreams. I feel the same way, I reply, wiping a smudge of dirt from her cheek. This garden is just the beginning of what we can do together. Our relationship continues to flourish, and so does the bakery. Inspired by our cooking classes, I start hosting baking workshops on weekends. The response from the community is overwhelmingly positive, and I enjoy teaching others the joys of baking. Laura often joins me for the workshops, and we become known as a team. Our partnership in the bakery and the community garden strengthens our bond and gives us a renewed sense of purpose. One afternoon, after a particularly successful workshop, we sit on the porch with a glass of lemonade. Laura leans her head on my shoulder. I feel like we've finally found our rhythm, Jake. We're a team again. We are, I agree, feeling a deep sense of contentment. And I wouldn't have it any other way. As the sun sets, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, we talk about our dreams for the future. We discuss expanding the bakery, maybe even opening a second location, and continuing to grow the community garden. We also revisit the topic of starting a family. The idea, once a distant possibility, now feels more tangible and exciting. We make an appointment with our family doctor to discuss our options and take the first steps toward making our dream a reality. Our lives, once filled with uncertainty and pain, are now brimming with hope and love. The journey we've been on has taught us the importance of communication, trust, and mutual respect. We've learned that no matter how challenging the road may be, as long as we face it together, We can overcome anything. That night, as we lie in bed, Laura takes my hand. I'm so grateful for you, Jake, for everything we've been through and everything we have ahead of us. I'm grateful for you too, I reply, squeezing her hand gently. Here's to our future, whatever it may hold. We fall asleep with a sense of peace and anticipation, ready for whatever comes next. Together, we've built a life filled with love, resilience, and endless possibilities. As summer turns to fall, the community garden flourishes, and so does our relationship. The once vacant lot is now a vibrant space where neighbors gather, children play, and fresh produce is harvested. The sense of community brings Laura and me immense joy and pride. One crisp autumn morning, as we sip coffee on the porch, Laura shares exciting news. Jake, I've been invited to speak at a national environmental conference. They want me to present my research and talk about our community garden project. That's fantastic, Laura, I say, genuinely thrilled for her. You deserve this recognition. Her eyes sparkle with excitement. I couldn't have done it without your support. I'm a little nervous, but I know this is a great opportunity. We'll make sure you're ready, I assure her. You'll be amazing. As Laura prepares for her conference, I dive into expanding the bakery. We've decided to open a second location in a nearby town, and the preparations are in full swing. It's a busy time, but the sense of purpose and progress keeps us motivated. One evening, as we finalize plans for the new bakery, Laura takes my hand. I've been thinking about something else too. With everything we've accomplished, I think we're ready to start a family. Her words fill me with warmth and excitement. I've been thinking about it too. Let's take the next step. We schedule an appointment with our family doctor, discussing our plans and receiving guidance on the next steps. The prospect of expanding our family feels more real and exciting than ever. As Laura heads off to her conference, I throw myself into the bakery expansion. The new location is coming together beautifully, and the anticipation builds as the opening day approaches. I miss Laura, but we stay connected through daily calls and messages, sharing updates and support. When she returns from the conference, Laura is beaming. It went so well, Jake. The response was incredible, and I made some great connections. I knew you'd be amazing, I say, pulling her into a hug. I'm so proud of you. With the conference behind us, we focus on the final preparations for the new bakery. The grand opening is a huge success, with the community turning out in full force to support us. The sense of accomplishment is overwhelming, and we celebrate with a special dinner at our favorite restaurant. As we sit across from each other, savoring the moment, Laura raises her glass. To new beginnings and endless possibilities. To us, I add, clinking my glass against hers, and to the incredible journey we've been on. The following weeks are a whirlwind of activity as we settle into our new routines. The bakery thrives, and the community garden continues to bring people together. Our lives are busy but fulfilling, filled with love, purpose, and the promise of a bright future. One evening, as we relax on the porch, Laura looks at me with a thoughtful expression. Jake, I've been thinking about something. What if we wrote a book together? About our journey, the bakery, the garden, and everything we've learned. I smile, intrigued by the idea. I think that's a great idea. Our story could inspire others. We could share our recipes, tips on building a strong relationship, and how to create a thriving community. She continues, excitement building in her voice. Let's do it, I agree. It'll be another adventure for us to share. As we begin brainstorming ideas for the book, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the life we've built. We've faced challenges and heartache, but we've come out stronger on the other side. Our love, once tested, now feels unbreakable. That night, as we lie in bed, Laura snuggles close. I'm so happy, Jake. We've created something beautiful together. We have, I reply, kissing her forehead. And there's so much more to come. We fall asleep with a sense of peace and anticipation, ready for whatever the future holds. Together, we've built a life filled with love, resilience, and endless possibilities. Winter arrives, bringing a sense of coziness to our home and a reflective calm to our lives. The holidays are around the corner, and Laura and I decide to host a gathering at the community garden to celebrate with our friends and neighbors. The garden, now dormant under a blanket of snow, still holds a magic that brings people together. On the day of the party, we decorate the garden with twinkling lights and set up a bonfire. The warmth of the fire contrasts beautifully with the crisp, cold air. As guests arrive, the garden fills with laughter, music, and the joyous chatter of friends reuniting. Laura and I stand together, looking out over the gathering. "I can't believe how far we've come," she says, squeezing my hand. "Me neither," I reply, feeling a swell of pride and happiness. This garden, the bakery, our relationship, it's all more than I could have ever imagined. As the evening progresses, we take a moment to share our story with everyone. Laura talks about her work, the garden, and how the community has played a crucial role in our journey. I speak about the bakery, our cooking classes, and the support we've received. It's a heartfelt moment, and the applause and cheers from our friends and neighbors make it even more special. After the party, as we clean up, Laura looks at me with a sparkle in her eyes. "Jake, I have a feeling that next year is going to be even better." "I believe it," I say, pulling her close. "We've built a strong foundation, and now it's time to keep growing." As the new year begins, we dive into our next big project, writing our book. It's a labor of love, and we spend countless evenings brainstorming, writing, and editing. The process brings us even closer as we relive our journey and reflect on the lessons we've learned. The book, titled From the Heart, Our Journey of Love, Baking, and Community, eventually gets published and receives a warm reception. Readers are inspired by our story, and we receive letters and messages from people who find hope and encouragement in our words. One day, as we sit in our cozy living room, reading through the latest batch of letters, Laura turns to me. "Jake, I think we've found our true calling, helping others through our experiences." I nod, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "I think you're right. We've turned our challenges into something positive, and now we're helping others do the same." As spring approaches, we receive the news we've been hoping for. Laura is pregnant. The excitement and joy we feel are indescribable. It's another new beginning, another adventure we're ready to embark on together. We prepare for the arrival of our baby, turning the spare room into a nursery and making plans for the future. The anticipation builds, and we feel more connected than ever. On a warm spring afternoon, as we sit in the community garden, Laura rests her head on my shoulder. "Jake, I'm so grateful for everything. For you, for us, for our baby." "I'm grateful too," I reply, kissing her gently. "Our journey has been incredible, and I can't wait to see what the future holds." We sit in peaceful silence, the sun setting and casting a golden glow over the garden. It's a moment of pure contentment, a testament to the love and resilience that have carried us through. As we move forward, hand in hand, we know that whatever challenges come our way, we'll face them together. Our love story, once marked by heartache, is now a tale of triumph and unwavering commitment. And as we welcome our new addition to the family, we're ready to embrace the next chapter of our lives, filled with hope, joy, and endless possibilities.